Rumors are flying around that Antifa is responsible for the wildfires, or at least some of them, on the West Coast. And I can say right now, the most important thing, I have personally not seen evidence that Antifa, as with the flags or any kind of specific identification, has been involved in any of this. But there is at least one instance where a Black Lives Matter activist, a defund the police activist, was in fact arrested for reckless burning. Police said they saw him starting a fire. You may have seen my video on this in the past couple of days. But there is a lot to break down here. First, Facebook will ban you. They're now saying that they're going to take down posts and, issue some kind of penalty against people who make the claim that Antifa is responsible for this. But we also have a viral video that is flying in the face of many of these claims by the mainstream media that Antifa is not involved, and we got to be very, very careful. In this video you see before you, there is a sheriff. There's actually two, I believe there's two sheriffs talking to a Cop Watch activist. In this clip, the man says straight up, Antifa is out here, causing hell and all sorts of trouble. Now, immediately, the people on the left are saying he's lying, he's gone crazy, the cop is wrong, he's pushing conspiracy theories. But this clip is, to many, evidence that Antifa is out here doing this. But you gotta realize, first and foremost, man, cops are people too. Now, I think it's possible this officer does have some kind of intel from his department where they're suggesting that there have been people they suspect of being Antifa starting fires. I would not put it outside the realm of possibility. But it could also be that this officer just saw the same videos that you did. So for me, all I can really do is I do the research, I look things up. We can confirm a Black Lives Matter activist was arrested for setting a fire. That's one guy. But I think I know what's happening. You see, Antifa likes to prey upon these kind of, I don't know how you describe these people, but let me break it down this way. The dude who did get arrested, who was a Black Lives Matter activist, he was also opposed to looting. I wonder if because Black Lives Matter is so broad and that Antifa is trying to essentially recruit and energize regular random people who may be distraught, disenfranchised, it's very easy to find someone who might fit the stereotype of Antifa and say that person and the things they've done is Antifa. So I guess what I can say right now, first and foremost, and we'll go through these stories because Facebook's going to ban you to talk about it, but I've got evidence of arson. I want to break down the fake news. I can say just because, evidence of absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. Basically, we don't know for sure who all these people are. We have not found the evidence of political motivation. So let's just take it for what it is. But I got to break this down. All right, we're going to go through these stories because if it's true that this officer actually knows something, there may be something here. So it's, in my opinion, irresponsible and scary, actually, that Facebook is going to take down what they call false reports of Antifa arson in Oregon. This is how, man, how do you break trust among regular people in this country? It's simple. You stop them from being able to share information, whether you know it's true or not. And this is where it starts to get scary. It is not false to say that leftist activists or a leftist activist has been arrested. We know this is true. Of course, the media is saying it's all fake. It's all fake. Ignore this. Nothing's happening. So what happens if you actually find evidence? What happens if we have this video from the sheriff and people, this sheriff is telling the truth? They know that Antifa's out there. Facebook will take it down. Why? Because the New York Times and other outlets have said so. Now, to be fair, let's be real. Law enforcement has also said, please stop calling in Antifa starting fires. But this is reaching a really weird tribalist point, and we got to be careful about this stuff. We do. So let's read this story and let's talk about, we got everything, man. We got a hat trick here. We got Antifa tribalism. We got censorship, and we got breaking news on the wildfires. Look, before we get into this, I hope everybody's safe and okay, man. These wildfires are serious business. But check this out. Facebook to take down false reports of Antifa arson in Oregon. The rumors apparently inspired some Oregonians to set up checkpoints. What do you do when you have cops telling people on camera it is Antifa? And what do you do when you have that information and NBC News says y'all ain't allowed to share it? Yet people are going to believe they're not going to trust mainstream media anymore. It's a middle ground, man. The cop might be wrong. I don't know what his source is. He's just talking to a guy. But if you come out with this heavy-handedness, they're just making everything worse. NBC News reports Facebook said Saturday it would take down erroneous posts claiming anti-fascist activists have been maliciously sparking wildfires in Oregon and other western states. The announcement came after multiple organizations, including the Douglas County Sheriff's Office in Oregon, issued warnings on social media about the false rumors. And another sheriff's department placed a deputy on leave after he was seen on video suggesting fires were being started by Antifa adherents. That's my understanding. That sheriff, we seen that clip, not the guy standing, it's a different guy talking. He got placed on administrative leave, apparently for saying that and making everything run rampant. Now, here's the problem, man. There is no evidence Oregon's fires were caused by arson from far left activists. Wow. What am I supposed to say to this? So this is not the story I'm looking for. Where do I not have it pulled up? All right. Well, there is a story from Post Millennial. It is a leftist who did, in fact, start a fire and got arrested. So there is evidence that some of these at least one of these fires was started by a far left activist. I have some other different stories pulled up, but we'll go through this. When NBC News comes out and says there's no evidence, and we've seen circumstantial evidence and we've seen definitive evidence, what are we supposed to believe? This is the problem with mainstream media. What they should have said is, while there was one incident where a man identified as a Black Lives Matter activist was arrested for starting a fire, outside of that, we don't have any more information. I do have information on this arsonist, which I was going to pull up. And this brings me to a really important point about Antifa. We'll get to this. Let's read more. They say, we are removing false claims the wildfires in Oregon were started by certain groups, Facebook spokesman Andy Stone tweeted. This is based on confirmation from law enforcement that these rumors are forcing local fire and police agencies to divert resources from fighting the fires and protecting the public. How much can tell y'all right now? There's a lot of people who really believe this. I'm seeing a lot of posts on social media. I defer to the police and the fire department. If they're saying please, I'll take their word for it. And I think that's valuable. Like I said, this cop in this viral video, you got to understand, maybe he's just wrong. I got to do it because I know the mainstream media is going to come after me for saying this next part, but I'm going to say it. This guy may have gotten put on leave because they don't want people to know it's political. Could you imagine the turmoil that would ensue if they actually knew Antifa was doing this and were like, don't let people know, it will cause a panic. It's one thing when you have riots and we can see Antifa doing it. It's another thing when you have people starting wildfires. Again, I'm not suggesting that it is the case. I'm suggesting that if the media doesn't do their job, then you have a really easy opportunity for people to believe misinformation. They say the Clackamas County Sheriff's deputy placed on administrative leave Saturday had been tasked with ensuring that residents knew of the wildfire hazards when he was captured on video speaking about the fires. Sheriff Craig Roberts apologized for the unidentified deputy's alleged actions. The sheriff's office mission is to provide calm and safety, especially during unprecedented times such as these, he said in a statement. I expect nothing less of our deputies and apologize to all in our community. Provide calm and safety. And when he says we got Antifa guys out here, they put them on leave and then say it's because they want calm and safety. That, I'm just saying it's irresponsible. I'm saying it's irresponsible. The best thing I can tell all of you is wait for evidence. Wait for evidence. We got one Black Lives Matter leftist. That's it so far. I don't know what else to tell you, man. There are photos going around of it's three people holding an Antifa flag, but they're wearing firefighting gear. However, one of them has what looks like a gas can. So I'm like, you see these? Now, listen, we don't know where that photo's from. The origins of the photo, it's just people sharing it. Maybe it's just me. Maybe you guys have seen it. And you don't know what's in that can. It could be water. Some people are saying they're carrying around gas cans. But there is a photo of people holding an Antifa flag wearing firefighting gear. So you see that therein lies the problem of the current tribalist nature of our political world. Antifa's MO is not to burn the environment down. I mean, these guys are probably environmentalists. So they're probably like environmental extremists. Don't you guys remember when we had, it was the website It's Going Down. And they were talking about how to sabotage train tracks because they were eco-fascists. Like, many of them call themselves that. I don't know if they're doing it as a joke. I don't know if many of them actually would refer to themselves as fascists in any capacity. But they consider themselves to be like eco-extremists. They would destroy train tracks in order to stop, this environmental, the attacks on the environment. Look at the Dakota Access Pipeline. These people are total environmentalists. It would be absolutely a 180 from their position to destroy wildlife. That being said, I would put it past crazy people. And this is the most important point about Antifa. Antifa, it's like the Joker in The Dark Knight. I made a bunch of Dark Knight references recently, haven't I? Anyway, here's the point. The Joker preys upon people who are unwell, to put it mildly. There's that scene where Two-Face captures that guy, and he's like, tell me about the Joker or whatever. And Batman's like, you think he can tell anything to you? He's a paranoid schizophrenic. The Joker preys upon people like this. Here comes the main issue. We want to make sure, like this dude who set the fire, the Black Lives Matter guy, for all we know, he's just a crazy guy. And that seems to be the most likely scenario. So what ends up happening is you get someone who's paranoid, who's crazy, and you feed them all of these lies. And what happens? They go nuts. Then they go out, they'll protest, they'll scream because they're not all with it. And then when the fires start, they'll be, talking about the demons whispering in their ears, and they'll go start fires. So long as Antifa tries to weaponize those who are not well. I mean, think about this. That guy Reinhold in Portland, who killed the Trump supporter, he claimed that when he was stalking these guys, he was surrounded by these vehicles, armed Trump supporters. The dude was delusional. Like, you can watch the video. The cars around him are regular cars. And I know it's possible he's just lying, right? But there's video of it. He knows there's video of it. I think the reality is there's a good chance this dude is just nuts. He lost his mind. And so he's standing there and he sees these guys and he grabs his weapon and he's like, the Trump supporters are everywhere. Ah! And then he, pulls out his gun and shoots the guy. He said there were vehicles armed with weapons. And then he gets into a shit out with the cops. Why? He said the cops were working with the Proud Boys. Ah! And then he lost his life. So listen, I'm not trying to make fun of him. I'm not trying to drag him for being unwell. That's not the point. And, I was doing that, I mean that literally, like he's freaking out. He's going like, they're everywhere. And he sees the cops and he's like, ah. So here's what happens. You have this story from Heavy, right? Anita Esquivel accused of starting California arson fires along Highway 101 in Salinas. I'm showing this story not to drag this woman in any way, but to highlight, for one, arson. Yes, it's happening. We know the arson is happening. And we also know the looting is happening. There is looting and there is arson, and it is serious, and we need to put an end to it. All right, we need to, because we want to. But I look at this woman. She does kind of look like an Antifa. She does kind of look like that photo, and this is what I realized. That photo, that mugshot, looks so similar to those mugshots you see Andy No post. It's because they prey upon people who are unwell. Now, this woman is not Antifa. I'm not saying she is. I'm saying when I saw this, I'm like, she's just some crazy lady, and I'm like, there it is. You see, the problem is you've got Antifa organizers. They're ideological. They know what they're doing. And they prey upon crazy people to set fires. Now, I'm not saying Antifa encouraged them to burn down forests. In fact, I think that's wrong because Antifa they're going to be environmentalists. They're going to be like, well, the trees, you know what I mean? They're going to be out with their hippie friends doing hippie stuff in the forest. I think you see these similar images because Antifa would target those unwell people, but direct the fire towards the police buildings. They don't want to go to jail. This is why you hear the story, right? The dude in Portland was handed an explosive and he threw it and then it went off and he thought it was a firecracker and then he gets arrested. But the Antifa guy supplied him and then took off. They're smart. They want you to take the fall. They also do it to hide their motives. Perhaps there's something similar in regards to what this cop is saying or what's really going on. I just don't think so. I really, really don't. But I'm investigating, man. I'm looking into this stuff. What I do want to tell you is I want to show you this. Socialist Rifle Association. First, I will say, I think it's great that they're all about their Second Amendment rights, constitutional rights. You want to be a socialist and own a gun, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you're a socialist, a communist, a capitalist, whatever. You have a right to own a weapon. So if these guys want to own weapons, so long as they're doing it legally. Here's the quote. If you have any intel, call us. Antifa mother effers are out causing heck. There's a lot of lives and property at stake. Clackamas County Sheriff's Deputy. Here's what they say. Holy crap, it's the Reichstag. Oh, there it is. There it is. But let me show you the first post. That's not the post I wanted to pull up. Anyway, someone posted a link to a tweet, and it is this. Devin Askew says, some of the many warnings residents have posted between Colton and Estacada. Check this out. We won't call your family. Your body will never be found. Bang, bang. This one says, looters and arsonists will be shot. Looters will be shot. Home and armed. You loot, we shoot. They're not talking about Antifa. These, you loot, we shoot is another sign. Here's a bunch saying you loot, we shoot. There are looters. And there are people who are taking this and they're acting like these signs. It's the craziest psycho world we live in, man. It's the crazy. Because of these signs, you've got leftists who are arguing that the right has gone nuts, believing Antifa is everywhere. Woo! No, but there are arsonists. Here's one. And there are looters. Here's another two. There's a ton of arson going on right now. I'm not saying every single fire is arson, but a lot of it, a decent amount of it. I think I went over like 5 or 6 stories where these fires are being intentionally set. Of course, never let a good catastrophe go to waste. Oregon governor calls wildfires a bellwether for climate change. This is a wake-up call for us. And Governor Inslee of Washington blames climate change, calling these climate fires. I can't stand these people, man. I can't stand the exploitation. I can't stand the man. They're ready to jump up, snap to attention. Ooh, we got a crisis. Let's weaponize it for political gain. I don't want to live in that world, man. I don't. I think there's an opportunity for all of us to be reasonable. Give me some hard evidence on Antifa actually setting a fire, and I'm down to talk about it. We got a leftist guy who got arrested. We know it. Fine. There's another set of photos going around where a guy is on the ground. And it was like a woman posted this saying she caught him in the brush and he's got matches. And she's like, if my husband would have found him, he wouldn't even be alive. And he got arrested. And you can see the photos. We don't know who this guy is. We don't know if he's Antifa, but there are deranged and unhinged individuals who are setting fires, who are looting. So you know what? To the people putting up the warning signs, that's the right move. The last thing you want. Think about this. You live in the middle of nowhere, right? I'm actually out kind of in the middle of nowhere right now, setting up the new studio and everything. If you live in the middle of nowhere, this is what the left needs to understand. There's no cops. There's no cops. There's no fire department. There's no emergency service. You got to be armed to protect yourself. If looters show up, what do? They break into your house. You're there. You got to protect yourself. What if they're armed? Of course, the first thing you got to do is put up warning signs. So it's funny that people are saying like, there's nothing any looter would want. I needed a laugh. Thank you. Ha ha ha. So this one says, I support this completely. If these lawless criminals can bend the law and do what they want, so can everyone else. Is there even one instance of looting happening, or is this completely online right-wing hysteria? And that's the point I was trying to bring up. It's not right-wing hysteria. But when you get these ivory tower urban elites who are going off talking about how much smarter they are, how you don't need weapons to protect yourself, and there's not even any looting happening because what? It's the right wing. Oh, what's this? Statesman Journal. Men accused of looting homes in Santiam Canyon wildfire zone arrested after wild chase. This is from it's from 3 days ago. 3 days ago. When did they post this? 14 hours ago. They could have just looked it up. I can believe it. I really, really can. That these people don't even bother doing a Google search. You know what the difference is between what we do and what they do? Y'all do Google searches. Yeah, most of you, not all of you. But it's really that simple, isn't it? You go on Google, you search for something, and then boom, you know what's going on. So listen, right now, we got a bunch of memes flying around claiming it's Antifa. I think many people are trying to exploit this for political gain. I think it's dumb. You can't find some evidence. Seriously, find any one thing. You got a picture of firefighters holding up an Antifa flag. That makes them look good, dude. It does. You might not like it, but maybe that's the trick. You need to find them actually setting the fires. Now, for NBC, for Facebook, whatever, this is the most annoying thing. They say there is no evidence Oregon's fires were caused by arson from far left activists. That is a lie. The guy's name was Jeff Accord. He's 36. He was booked. It is known he is a far left activist, and they're saying no evidence. That's why I don't believe him. But I tell you this, I don't believe the mainstream media. I think the police's job is to keep everyone calm. So they're not going to tell us outright anyway. And it may be that this sheriff who called this out, maybe he knows something. That doesn't matter to me. What matters is get me the evidence. For now, we got one guy. One guy does not a conspiracy make. So I'll keep looking into it. But I'll tell you this. So all of you who live in these areas, get out your phones and film. You see somebody, you film. That's the best I can say. As to what, everything's so political right now. I can criticize the governors for saying climate crisis, but the people who know they have no evidence it's Antifa who are pushing that same line, it's the same game. So what do you want me to say about it, man? I would put it this way. There is a decent probability that there are Antifa starting fires. Decent. That doesn't mean guaranteed. In fact, it means less than chance. We've got one far leftist guy so far. That's confirmed. Take it for what it is. Get more evidence and put it out there. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 4 p.m. at youtube.com/Timcast. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you all then.